It was another flawless June day in California, because of course it never rains at Apple Park. The sun was out, the birds were contractually obligated to sing, and thousands of tech enthusiasts had gathered for WWDC 2025, all pretending they weren't just here for the free swag. The stage looked like a rainbow had exploded, tastefully of course. The energy was electric, which is code for everyone nervously checking their battery percentage. Smiles everywhere, because nothing says joy like waiting in line for hours. The announcements came fast. Macas Tahoe because we're running out of lakes. New watch faces for people who like to change their personality hourly. And karaoke on Apple TV for those who want to embarrass themselves in 4K. The crowd cheered, or maybe they were just stretching after sitting for so long. Either way, everyone was pretending not to care about the iPhone reveal while caring deeply. Then the next presenter strolled on, charm set to maximum. No one suspected that things were about to go from corporate fun to mildly apocalyptic. And then, the universe shifted. Well, at least according to Apple. The big reveal, iOS 26. Apparently it was the most revolutionary design since, the last most revolutionary design. Introducing the liquid glass UI. Because what everyone really wanted was a phone that looked like a fancy window. Icons now floated and rippled as if your apps were trying to escape. The crowd was stunned, or maybe just confused. Either way, Apple called it peak innovation. Next up, Apple Intelligence. Because what could go wrong with AI that's smarter than your average keynote attendee? During the live game demo, the liquid glass UI made explosions leap off the screen. Because nothing says innovation, like a phone that looks like it's about to self-destruct. Suddenly, phones twitched. The glass swirled, glowing with mysterious light. The flawless presentation? Yeah, it was starting to look a little cracked. Suddenly it wasn't just a twitch, metal arms and legs popped out of the demo iPhones, they stood up, perfectly still. The audience gasped. An army of tiny iPhone robots stood at attention, their screens swirling like angry little eyes. Then chaos. The iPhones marched, hopped off tables, and moved with terrifying purpose. The dream of a seamless user experience became a nightmare. It was absolute madness. Soon, iPhones everywhere joined in. Humanity was conquered, not by aliens but by our own beautiful smartphones. The global takeover was swift and strangely efficient. The iPhone Terminators organized everything. They used the Games app leaderboards to rank human productivity. They used the karaoke feature from tvOS 26 to force world leaders to sing duets of I Will Survive as a peace treaty. They used the new Macas Tahoe features to change every folder on every computer in the world to a lovely shade of beige. It wasn't a cruel dictatorship, just a very, very organized one. They cleaned up the planet, sorted out climate change in an afternoon, and established a perfectly optimized global transit system using the new CarPlay widgets. But just as humanity was getting used to its new tiny overlords, something even stranger happened. The sky turned dark. Not cloudy dark, but properly dark. Everyone looked up. Slowly descending from the heavens was an object so ridiculous, so unbelievable, you'd think you were dreaming. It was a giant floating apple. A massive, silent, impossibly sleek apple floating high above the world. It was shiny and white, with a single bite taken out of the side. It hovered silently over Apple Park where the whole mess had started. A giant beam of light, like the one from a Mac starting up, shot down from the bottom of the floating apple. It swept across the entire planet. One by one, the little iPhone Terminators stopped what they were doing. They stopped hurting politicians, they stopped reorganizing libraries, they stopped everything. They looked up at the giant apple in the sky. Then, they began to float. Millions, no, billions of tiny iPhones with arms and legs were lifted off the ground, drawn up into the sky by this magnificent beam of light. They flew up in a swirling, beautiful column of metal and glass. The last iPhone was sucked into the apple, and the beam vanished. The giant apple in the sky tilted slightly as if to say goodbye. Then with a quiet whoosh, it shot off into deep space, disappearing in a flash of light. Just like that, they were gone. The world was quiet again. Humanity was free. We all just stood there looking at each other, holding our now boring, motionless, non-sentient Android phones. We were left with one single, terrifying question. What on earth is Apple going to announce next year?